So I wanted to play devil's advocate for you. I mean, we're really talking about Canadian content, protection of what governments define as Canadian culture. It's no secret that in this country we've long had rules around what they call CanCon. They've had them for television, they've had them for radio. So I guess the first question that people might ask is, well, what's wrong with having these kinds of rules for things that appear on the internet as well?
Well, that is a terrific question. And in fact, I was asked about that in the Senate, and I'll give you the same answer because I don't tailor my answers. But many countries, in fact, most countries besides the US, which has never had a media export problem, have national content regimes to encourage and build this very clean, vibrant industry. In fact, that's what we did with our 20th century policy regime. We actually successfully built an industry that is so strong that when Netflix decided to open its studios around the world for local content, the first one it opened was in Canada because of our really tremendous world-class media force. So there's nothing wrong with having CanCon. Right now, the rules and the policy framework is very outdated. What I call in my book, it's a 3-alarm fire, has decimated its relevance. First of all, linear broadcasting is in a sunset phase. Cable delivery is in a sunset phase. And consequently, the advertising that supported linear broadcasting has migrated away. And yet we're years, if not decades out of date to form what I have been advocating for, which is a producer accessed, platform agnostic, audience-driven sliding scale framework to achieve a purpose. And that you keep asking about purpose, a new goal or purpose, which all public policy should have a goal, would be globality, or popular content that's exported around the world.
Well, that's interesting because when you mention globality, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that most of the previous Canadian content sort of rules and regulatory regime was based around ensuring that Canadians sort of got a sufficient diet of Canadian content, right? Whereas now what you're saying is the view should actually be how to get Canadian content in front of a global audience. So that, in other words, we're still talking about Canadian content, but in terms of who the ultimate consumer of that content is, it's very different in an internet sort of dominated world than in a broadcast and radio dominated one.
Exactly. You really, hit it perfectly. So if you look at it from, big picture, as you suggested just now, the purpose of our 20th century policy regime, which was actually invented by CTV executives when they were at the LA upfronts, and they were like, whoa, we have no audience, so we have no advertising, and everybody's watching, Ed Sullivan on US cable. They actually invented simultaneous substitution to get an audience, and that actually became win-win-win-win, 4 wins: a win for broadcasting, a win for cable, a win for audiences, and a win for the production industry. So protection worked very well to build an industry. Now we have one. It's super strong. So the question becomes, does protection work to build an audience? No, competition works to build an audience. And that's proven by the new golden age of television. As soon as like Netflix and Apple and Disney and online streaming burst on the scene, this has been widely reputed to increase the quality of television when you have higher competition for eyeballs.
Interesting. So what you're saying is that by protecting or trying to protect, you may actually be doing harm now to audiences. Obviously people may not have as much choice, and by inoculating people for competitors, you don't actually do anything to ensure the quality or competitiveness of the cultural products.
Yes, and there is proof that Canadians do rock and can produce content that excels and compete in the global competition contest for attention. And that living lab is YouTube. YouTube proves, right, and in only 17 years versus 40 years for the other, for the legacy, 17 years, Canadians lead in every genre. They have many, many Canadian YouTube creators with millions, if not
Right.
billions of views. So we don't have a
We don't,
creativity
yeah,
problem in this.
we can do it. We can do it. Okay, sorry, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.